Hey, what's going on, guys? So Blizzard announced the Season 28 final patch notes and release date for Season 28. And so in this video, we're going to go over all of the changes, and Witch Doctor did get a buff. So we actually did get a buff for the doc, which is great to see. That's going to be at the end of the patch notes, so we'll get to that here soon. But to start out, the season is going to start on February 24th. That's going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific and then 8 p.m. Eastern. So we've got a week until the season starts. So you've got the seasonal theme here, seasonal cosmetic rewards. We're not going to talk about those too much in this video. We're going to mainly focus on the patch notes, seasonal journey rewards, conquest, Hadrig's gift, and then we get to the patch notes here. So one big thing to look at is that the patch goes live February 21st at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. So this is going to be this coming Tuesday, the 21st, a few days before the season starts. So you have a few days before the season begins to mess around with the changes to the builds and kind of decide what you want to play and what you like. So then we've got the seasonal theme, the Rites of Sanctuary. So we've got a few changes here and one gigantic one. So basically, we're getting some static damage buffs. So L on the tree here, which if you look up here, this is where L is at on this. Make that bigger. Right here. That's L. So before, that was just a 10% damage increase. They doubled that to 20%. P, which, take a look where that's at. P is right here on the right side of the tree. That one, progress orbs from Nephilim and greater rifts are automatically picked up within 60 yards. So before, it was just progress orbs from Nephilim and greater rifts are automatically picked up. And it was like kind of buggy in the PTR. This is a totally fine change. 60 yards is a pretty long radius. The nice thing about this on the tree is that if you don't have a ton of pickup radius on gear, you don't have to worry about it for Nephilim and Greater Rift progress orbs. You still need to have pickup radius for health globes, but for Greater Rifting especially, it's kind of nice to not have to worry about pickup radius too much. So then R on the tree was 15% damage. That's getting buffed up to 30%, so that's also getting doubled. And R is also on the left side of the tree with L, the other damage buff right here. So we're just getting more static damage on the tree. The reason for this is because they are nerfing the pylon potion power. So on the PTR, whenever you drank a health potion, you could get a random pylon effect. And that pylon effect would last like a normal pylon, and some of the buffs were doing like crazy damage compared to a normal pylon, but it was extremely overpowered and very RNG intensive. It's much better, in my opinion, to have just consistent damage from this tree instead of trying to have some weird RNG thing where you're drinking a potion every 30 seconds, hoping you get a conduit, and even potentially just going into a rift and drinking your potion immediately, and if you don't get a conduit, leaving. That's kind of a ridiculous way to play the game. So instead, whenever you drink a health potion, you gain a random shrine or the dimensional power pylon effect. And then down here in the developer's note, we wanted the seasonal theme to be powerful and rewarding, but the conduit pylon completely broke the game. So we made some adjustments to keep the power level high, while having your character's progression still matter. We have removed all pylons from the final potion power and replaced them with a 16-second dimensional power pylon. To compensate for the power decrease, we've buffed several damage seals elsewhere in the tree. So I would imagine a 16-second dimensional power pylon. I'm assuming that's just a normal power pylon. I don't know, it could be different, but it's only 16 seconds long. Okay, moving on. So this is kind of the ways, the costs to unlock the different nodes on the Altar of Rites. Most of them are unchanged except for one. So number 19 was Never-Ending Questions, which is a really difficult item to get. It would have just been extremely annoying to try to get during the season. So instead, you need to get 4 Tome of Set dungeon pages from your class. It says, see the chart below for more information. So effectively, all this is any set that has a set dungeon. You put that set on, so the 6-piece set or 5 pieces with the Ring of Royal Grandeur. In Leoric's Manor, there is a book on a pedestal that you can interact with. While you have that set on and you click that pedestal, it's going to drop a set dungeon page. And that's what you're going to use to sacrifice in the Altar of Rites to get this number 19 unlocked. Effectively, all you have to do is just farm up each set that has a corresponding set dungeon. So just quick developer note here. We agreed that obtaining never-ending questions was more difficult than desired. We decided to direct players to collect the necessary sets to enter set dungeons and provide proof at the Altar of Rites. And then, of course, still in the game, we're going to get these wings if you unlock all of the nodes, all of the seals on the Altar of Rites. Then we've got the Primordial Ashes feature, which isn't anything new. A couple bug fixes for the Altar of Rites. The power description for Seal N has been updated for increased clarity. Pets will no longer pick up and salvage other players' common magic and rare items because of the power from Seal X. You can imagine that upsetting some people potentially. Then fixed an issue where Seal V caused more progress orbs to drop than intended. Alright, so monk skill changes, nothing changed there. Nothing changed for the barbarian. So we do have some Natalia's Vengeance changes. So basically on the PTR, Natalia's just devolved into another strafe build. So it just kind of seemed like every build here lately is just turning into a strafe build all the time, and this was no different. People were just strafing around and proccing Spike Trap through the strafe. So instead what they're going to do here is put more of a focus on the Gears of Dreadlands set being the strafe set and kind of take that away from Natalia's. So instead, on the 2-piece, instead of hitting an enemy summons a Spike Trap if it's on your action bar, Spike Trap deals 100% increased damage to enemies affected by caltrops. Spike Trap now instantly refreshes charges on use, no longer costs resources, and each detonation restores 2 discipline. And then the 4-piece did read, laying a Spike Trap grants 60% damage reduction. The duration of this bonus is always equal to the number of already laid traps in seconds. The change is to Spike Trap explosions will blast affected enemies towards the nearest caltrops. Laying a Spike Trap grants 75% damage reduction. The duration of this bonus is always equal to the number of already laid traps in seconds. The 6-piece did read, Spike Traps deal 10,000% increased damage in each consecutive blast from the detonation chain. Reaction will deal 10% more damage than the previous blast. So that 10% was buffed up to 25%. And kind of the developer note here, after listening to the community's feedback about the Natalia's changes, we wanted to move Natalia's away from Gears of Dreadlands, giving it a unique identity. We hope Natalia's playstyle gives players more control over the explosions they set off while navigating the battlefield. It definitely feels like there could be some interesting gameplay dynamics going on here with kind of laying your caltrops and blasting enemies to them with your Spike Trap. It'll be pretty interesting to see how that actually plays out. This is one of those sets and builds that we're not going to really know until Tuesday when the patch drops how good it actually is. It sounds like it's going to be very strong. It's not going to be as fast for farming as it was, I'm sure, with not having the strafe involved. Any build where you can just move that quickly and deal damage is going to be always king in Greater Rift XP farming, right? But that's not to say that this can't potentially still farm pretty quickly. It's just not going to be as fast as a strafe build like last season with Strafe and Pale or on the PTR Strafe Spike Trap. Now, for all you strafe fans out there, you are still going to have a shot to play that this season. It's going to be very strong. So the Gears of the Dreadlands set, your primary skills deal 15,000% increased damage is what it was. It's getting buffed up to 27,500% increased damage. And the developer note there, we've taken away the strafe ability from Natalia's, but we still want to support the players enjoying strafe builds. So this is the starter set for the season. You still want to play Demon Hunter. Still going to be really strong. You can still play a strafe build. It's just going to be different than with the Spike Traps. The most important change, Witch Doctor. So they're buffing the Manitou rune of Spirit Barrage. So originally it was doing 6,000% damage. They're going to buff this up to 14,000% weapon damage as cold over 20 seconds. The developer note here, Witch Doctors have S-tier solo builds, but their farming builds aren't as easy to play as other classes. To help, we've buffed the Manitou rune on Spirit Barrage. We hope to give players an improved speed farming build, while also buffing one of their best solo pushing builds in a significant way, producing faster boss kills. So, This is absolutely going to do all of those things. If you like playing Spirit Barrage, which I think it is one of the better Witch Doctor builds out there, it's going to be good all the way around. So it is going to be better for pushing, because you are going to kill bosses faster, and that is one of the big weaknesses of the Mundanugu set with Spirit Barrage, is the bosses can take a pretty long time to kill. So that is definitely a big deal for pushing, and it should get it up there to a relatively comparable level to Arakir's Spiders. And it's also going to give Witch Doctor an insane T16 build. Spirit Barrage T16 is already like really fast. It's definitely one of the fastest Witch Doctor T16 builds. It's that and Locust Swarm are like right neck and neck. They're both really strong. And so obviously this is just going to make it even crazier. And then for Greater Rift XP farming, this is legitimately a speed build now. I think you will be able to do 115s pretty fast with this. The Spear Barrage builds have really nice area of effect, but the way they deal their damage, with the damage building up on the enemies and then exploding, didn't really lend to quick XP farming. It's an okay build for it, but compared to something like a Meteor Wizard that deals close to instant damage, or, you know, Gears of the Dreadlands, Demon Hunter, for instance, like we just talked about, it just didn't compare. And I don't think it's going to be as good as those builds, but it is much closer now. That gap has been bridged a little bit to where you could run Spirit Barrage on a dock and farm XP quickly now, I think. So we'll see on Tuesday, get it tested, and obviously the true power of it you can't really test until the season drops, because you get so many damage buffs from the Altar of Rites, and not only damage buffs, damage reduction, and one of the big things for Witch Doctor from the Altar of Rites is immunity to crowd control effects. I can't stress enough how good that's going to be on Witch Doctor, guys. On Tuesday we'll do some testing and definitely want to get a build guide out for some of these Spirit Barrage builds for the season. A couple other notes just want to throw out there. You've got Talrasha Meteor Wizard did not get changed whatsoever. It's going to be so strong this season. Same with Blood Nova Necromancer. Really, really powerful build, did not get changed. And those are both really good options if you want to play either of those classes. But for you guys that are big Witch Doctor fans, you can start Witch Doctor now and not feel too bad about it. So anyways, guys, I think that'll wrap it up. I'm really pumped for the season. Let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking about the season, what classes you plan to start, and which builds you're really trying to get up and running as quick as possible. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.